So hi guys and welcome to the course overview of this course, which is Ruby on Rails Security. In this particular video, we will be taking a look at the synopsis of the entire course, where we will be seeing what will be covered and take a look at each topic in short so that you know what you're going to learn. So let's get started and let's go ahead with the course roadmap. So the first section is going to be Introduction to Ruby on Rails Security. And inside that, we will be learning about what is Ruby and what is Rails. So we will precisely try to understand what exactly is the Ruby language and how powerful it is compared to all the different languages out there. And also we'll see what exactly is the Rails framework. In the next video, we'll look at why Ruby on Rails, as in why a majority of the developer base is shifting to Ruby on Rails applications. What are the advantages of using Ruby on Rails as our preferred mode of running web applications, and what are its disadvantages? And in the third video, we'll look at a short about this course overview, where we'll see how the videos in this course are structured and some other information pertaining to this course. And next, in the second section, we will be taking a look at injections in Rails. Over here, we'll mainly be focusing on all the different type of injections that are possible in Rails and in general also, such as SQL injections, XSS, and header injections, commands, CSS, and like Ajax injections. So for all of these different type of injections, we will see what they are. We will see how we can find these injections, followed by a live demo of SQL injection, XSS, POC of header injection, and a demo of a command injection. Then we will take a look at how to avoid these type of injections in Rails and also in general for different types of programming languages, and how to protect applications against the above type of injections. And next up, in the third section, we will be taking a look at CSRF and clickjacking in Rails. So we'll see what is CSRF. So we'll see what exactly is CSRF, which stands for cross-site request forgery. We'll see an example of a CSRF attack and a live demo of how CSRF attacks happen. And next up, we will see about CSRF in Rails, and we will focus on how is CSRF a protection enabled in Rails in a deep dive, and we'll try to understand how Rails will implement its own CSRF protection mechanism. In the third video, we'll be focusing on the countermeasures. We'll see how is CSRF delivered, what are CSRF tokens, same-site cookies, and also the Rails 4 updates related to CSRF. Next up in the fourth video, we'll take a look at what is clickjacking, where we will see what exactly is clickjacking and a live demo of how clickjacking works, followed by clickjacking in Rails and the countermeasures. So we'll see how exactly we can prevent clickjacking in Rails, followed by several countermeasures which can be deployed to secure against clickjacking attacks. In the fourth section, we will be taking a look at default headers and CSPs. So we will see what are headers and how exactly are headers useful to us, and what are the different types of headers, such as we have like general headers, request headers, response headers, and etc. And next up, we will see the default headers that Rails generates and why exactly does Rails generate default headers, and a list of common headers which are there and what they mean, so that you are well versed in the concepts related to headers. And the third video, we will look at CSPs, which stands for Content Security Policies. So we will see what exactly they are, how to enable them, and show an example of how to set your content security policies right in Rails applications. And next up, we'll be moving on to a very interesting section, which is rate limiting using Rack Attack. So this is where things get very hands-on. And in the first video, we'll look at what exactly is rate limiting. So what does rate limiting mean? What is rate limiting used for? And what does it protect us from? And how exactly does it protect us? And we'll see some real life examples of rate limiting concepts and the different types of rate limiting that are there. Next up, we will look at rate limiting tactics and strategies. So we'll look at all the different types of tactics that we have to deploy efficient rate limiters in your applications, and how to ensure that we do not fall into the common pitfalls, such as users finding themselves logged out of accounts and etc. We'll also look at API rate limiting and cookie-based rate limiting and what they are. And from the third video onwards, we'll be going completely hands-on, and we'll be putting on our nerd glasses and taking a look into the gem, which is called Rack Attack, which is the gem we'll be using to implement rate limiting in our Rails application, a sample Rails application. So we will see the safe list and blacklist options and what these options do, followed by a live demo of each with some use cases to blacklist the local host and safe list the local host at the same time so that we can understand how the precedence concepts works. And in the fourth video, we will look at tracking and throttling. So this is where the rate limiting actually starts to kick on. And here we'll be learning the tracking and throttling options of Rack Attack, followed by a demo of each option to track and throttle requests that are in routes.rb, which is the routes file in your Rails application, and those that are not in routes.rb. In the fifth video, we will be taking a look at certain advanced concepts of rate limiting using Rack Attack. So here we will cover certain advanced concepts such as sending mail notifications when something gets throttled or tracked. We can limit the number of mail notifications that are sent using Redis. We can set a custom throttle response, and we can control the rate limiter variables using environment variables along with their respective demos. So I'll show you how all of this happens with each demo for each thing. And in the sixth video, which is the end of the fifth section, we'll combine all of this together, everything we have learned in rate limiting, and build our own functional rate limiter from scratch and see a demo of it along with graphing and dashboard like analytics using Kibana. And in the sixth section, we'll take a look at filters and testing applications using Brakeman. And in the first video of that, when we're going to talk about filters, we need to talk about file uploads because that is where you need to filter. So we'll see what exactly are file uploads and how to handle file uploads logically, like via filtering the file names. We can see about synchronous file uploads versus asynchronous file uploads, file download handling using the send file method, and approaches to storing file names securely. In the second video, we will take a look at scanning files for viruses using ClamAV. So here we'll be going over a very handy script which uses the open source antivirus called ClamAV to scan a folder, any folder you specify, full of files, and check if there are any sort of malwares or viruses within the file. And if there are, it can send a mail, it can notify you. And this can be used to scan the user uploads first and then let the user upload the file. So next up in the third video, we'll take a look at the image filter, which is highly requested, and we'll see how to block the different type of images which you are allowing in your application. So we will build an image filter from scratch, which will filter the images that are uploaded to the application from the user side, such as profile pictures, etc. And we'll see all the security vulnerabilities it can help mitigate, such as local file inclusions, remote file inclusions, code execution via file upload, a file size validation, and a file dimension validation. In the fourth video, we'll take a look at the image filter and blocking based on the content type. So the image filter, we'll be taking a look at it, but how to filter based on the content type instead of the file size or the file dimension. So the content type here refers to whether it is a JPEG file, a PNG file, etc. So that we can only allow certain types of files and block other files in our application. In the fifth video, we'll be taking a look at image filter and how to fix the metadata leaks that are associated with it. And we'll see how to remove the metadata from the different images before uploading them to our server and ensure that no sensitive information is leaked. And in the sixth video, we'll look at why and how to test using Brakeman. So here is where we look at what is SAST, which is static application testing, and we'll see a Brakeman and why exactly we should be testing applications before deploying them and what are the benefits it brings us, followed by the seventh video, which is how to differently analyze the reports of a Brakeman report. So here we will analyze the sample Brakeman report and see how we can go about analyzing Brakeman reports and a procedure to follow when starting Brakeman analysis of any application built using Rails. And in the seventh section, which is the last section, we will see what's covered so far and what you should be learning next. So as I said, we'll see what you've covered so far as a summary, and we'll also be seeing what you should be focusing on next in your journey into information security. All right, so next we'll look at the prerequisites that are recommended for this course, but it is not absolutely necessary for you to follow all of this or know all of this. So any computer that you have should do for this course. And if you do want to run the code that I teach you alongside the course, then you will need a Ruby on Rails set up in a Linux distro of your choice. You can choose Ubuntu, you can choose anything which you want, and you need to install Ruby on Rails and run a sample application. And if you can do that, then you're like completely like ready for the course, and you can run like any code that I'm going to show you in the course. And I will link a guide through which you can do that in the resources part. And if you have a very good like understanding of Ruby on Rails programming, it will be helpful and useful, but it is not like absolutely necessary, because I'll be teaching you the concepts like anyway in the course. If you have a previous background in programming, it is useful but not necessary. And also, as I said earlier, if you can install Ruby Rails and have a sample Rails app being run, it will be helpful to run my code much easier for you guys in the future parts of the course. And there are also different guides that are available in the resources section, which is available at this website, tiny.cc/Riaz. That will take you to my blog. And once you go to my blog, there'll be a page called Learning Resources, and inside that, Ruby on Rails Security. So if you click on that, it will take you to the resources page, and you'll be able to see like resources for each and every video, and some things which will help you like understand the video much easier, and the concepts that are being covered in the video much easier, along with the references that I've used. And yeah. So let's jump right ahead into the course, and I hope you guys learn a lot in this course about Ruby on Rails security and security in general. And yeah,